everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Comment Section. That's right. I caught myself. I almost did the other show for a second.
Yeah.
That's right.
Hard.
Guys, we are here in the year 2025. And
yes.
Look, peel back the curtain for a second, okay?
Mhm.
Most of the time when we do these episodes, we lie to you because we do record them in 2024. But this time, because producer Paul overwhelmed us so much, we're actually doing it January 2nd, 2025. So we are here.
It's like we're coming in on a Saturday.
2025. That's right.
Yep. And so it is our first episode recording of 2025. And that means, we're going to be really in the mood. We know what 2025 feels like.
Yes.
We're living it.
Yes. And guess what? It's not that much better from 2024.
Yeah. In fact, I actually just kind of woke up and was like, oh, it's Wednesday. And then that was kind of it. But, this is, like we said, the show where we look on the bright side. It's not the It Could Be Worse podcast. It's the It Could Be Okay Maybe podcast. So that's why we are going to list a bunch of TV shows, games, comics, movies in that order. Yeah. And we are going to go, hey, this could be okay, maybe.
Cross our fingers.
Yeah, exactly. So we're being a little optimistic here. You know, the cup of Kool-Aid is half full and we're drinking the Kool-Aid.
Oh, yes, we're going to drink that Kool-Aid and we're just going to accept whatever consequences happen.
Yes, exactly. So and that might be also including the egg on our face that we're gonna feel when these things maybe don't come out in this year, but we hope that they do.
Oh, exactly.
But with all of that setting us up for this wonderful upcoming 2025 special, the last of our end of year special episodes that we record across all of our podcasts, let's get it started by getting into the first category, which is upcoming television of 2025 that we're looking forward to or just want to bring up. Yes. So who wants to bring something up first? Do we have a coin or a die? Or you have a coin. Okay.
Our precious penny. Our precious dirty, disgusting penny that should have been removed from circulation decades ago, but yet here it still is. What year is it from?
Well, I'm happy to see that we still have it going into 2025.
It's from 1994, but boys have been through some stuff.
Wow.
This does not look 30 years old.
That is
much worse.
Really sad that is younger than both of us.
See, look at this. See Lincoln right here? Abe, this is what a lifetime of drugs and alcohol will do to you.
Yeah, not even once.
Yes.
So go ahead and give it a flip, and I am going to pick Tails.
Yes. Always got to stay consistent.
Yeah. Tails.
All right. Here
Miles
we go.
per hour, if you will.
It's hard to tell because so
it's
much
so
of
dirty.
This penny is falling apart.
Yeah.
But it is Tails. I don't know if you can see.
That is amazing. I hope at some point we or our producer Paul or someone who gives enough of a crap to actually do this for us would go and figure out like the record on how many coin flips I won versus how many coin flips you won.
Yes, because it genuinely feels like you win them all the time.
I don't think that. I think the most recent time I think you won, but in all of the time, yeah, I could see that. Anyway, I do have a lot to bring up, so I'll bring some stuff up.
All right.
So I have these in sort of categorized, so we won't have too much whiplash of like talking about one thing and then talking about another thing. Oh, I should ask, how many television things do you have to bring up?
Let's see. All right, technically there's 9, but like 3 of them are lumped together, 2 of them are lumped together, so pretty much like 4.
Okay. I Here's what I'll do then. I have I have a category of comedy TV, which I can bring each one up separately, and then I have a lumped together horror TV that I can do at the end, and that kind of creates four. So the first thing I will bring up is a new season in a show that I only started watching last year and continue to be very excited about. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, season 17. That's right, 17. What a big number.
That's the longest running live action sitcom of all time.
Yeah, I read a pretty, and there's no better deserving show in my opinion. No more depraved show to earn that crown. And I'm looking forward to 17. It's going to be only 8 episodes again, like 16, but I think 16 did a pretty good job of just kind of picking maybe their 8 best ideas from what they came up with that year. And there is some more like return to form sort of feeling episodes. Really just a season where there isn't as much of an arc like in the previous season where they like go to Ireland for like 5 episodes or something. So season 16 didn't have as much of an arc. It was just kind of a bunch of solid self-contained episodes and some creative ideas. And probably one of the better newer seasons in my opinion. And so I'm hoping they continue that streak into season 17. It's going to, now let's see, it said in 2020, I think they renewed for 4 seasons. So I wonder if that means...
Wow, they really planned in advance.
Yeah, they did. So I wonder, does that mean... It might mean that this one, after this one, maybe we'll have to wait and see if they renew it again, or maybe that's the next one. I'm not sure, but anyway, this the only thing I know about it so far is that in one of the 8 episodes is the conclusion to the crossover event episode that begins with Abbott Elementary.
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna see the conclusion to that crossover event in this season 17. So yeah, that's it.
If you're if you're done with It's Always Sunny, I could always weave in. We do transition nicely into one topic I was going to bring up.
Yeah, sure.
Which is the Abbott Elementary It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia crossover, which is something I'm really looking forward to. It really brings me back to the days of the Arrowverse.
Yeah.
Back when we would see Flash and Arrow crossover. And let me look up when that episode airs. Let's see it because they did just release a trailer for it.
Yeah.
Recently. Have you seen the trailer?
Yeah, I did. It's looking good.
I was very excited to see that there will be. I specifically requested some interaction between Mr. Johnson and Frank, and I was very excited to see that happen. So this episode, part 1, it looks like it will be on Abbott Elementary. It's going to air January 8th.
That's soon.
That is
in 6 days.
Yeah,
from when we're recording.
So do we know when?
I think that it would feel like a long time to wait, but the last It's Always Sunny season, I think, came out in the summer or maybe May it started. I don't know that I saw a specific start date to this season 17, but if I were to guess, it would probably be around the same time, which would be that it would start in May.
Yeah, I haven't seen... Oh, yeah, it just says the season is expected to premiere in 2025.
Yeah.
So that's a very exciting thing. Now that Curb is gone, I would say Abbott Elementary and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia are the 2 best live action comedies on TV right now. So to have them cross over, and they're both set in Philly, right?
I didn't.
Right, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's in the title.
Yeah,
we have that.
I had an excuse because I didn't know that Abbott Elementary was set in Philly, but it's not in the title. So
Yes.
but yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense that there's a crossover then.
Yeah, and they're both produced by 20th Century Fox or 20th Century Studios.
Yeah.
So we have that. So that's a very exciting thing. That's something I'm looking forward to next week.
Yeah.
Next week.
That'll be cool. I should really catch up and watch the entire series in 8 days.
If they, because I'm assuming they'll switch styles because Abbott's a mockumentary.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. Part 1 is mockumentary style.
Yeah.
And part 2 is the kind of
not mockumentary style.
like a regular comedy movie style.
Yeah, like Community or something, like where it's just not a mockumentary. It's just that makes me really excited. It would be really it's gonna be fun if like they put the It's Always Sunny gang in the mockumentary style and they have like talking heads and stuff. That's because we have not seen that before. So that's actually awesome.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all I have for the crossover.
Yes. Well, I guess we'll count that as your next thing. I'll bring up next another comedy, a potential premiere of a new comedy series on HBO that I'm looking forward to. It's Tim Robinson's next project called The Chair Company, which Tim Robinson, if you don't know, is the guy who used to, I think, write on SNL, and then
I think he was on it for a little bit.
He had some a few roles as well, and then he did Detroiters, which I recently just watched after it went on Netflix, and Detroiters is a really good show. And but what I was familiar with him from more is I Think You Should Leave, the comedy sketch show, which is just the right exact level of absurdity that I like. So there's going to be a new series on HBO called The Chair Company. After an embarrassing incident at work, a man, played by Tim Robinson, finds himself investigating a far-reaching conspiracy within the company. This sounds good. I'm hoping for, the similar absurd comedy style that he's known for in Detroiters, and I Think You Should Leave, brought to another non-sketch based thing, more like Detroiters. Because now that I finished Detroiters, which only got 2 seasons, I am definitely I really wanted more Detroiters once I finished it. So I am really looking forward to this next series.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah.
I mean, it's HBO, so that's a good sign right there.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's probably a decent sign for what's to come. But yeah, that's about all I have to say on that. It's just a premise that we know so far, but hopefully when it comes out, it delivers.
Oh, yes.
All right. So what is your next upcoming thing?
All right. Well, I guess I'll lump these 2 together. For all I know, I might have to lump these 3 together, but we'll see. So in January, I think it is, we're going to have the next season of Harley Quinn. That's right. The animated series, which was one that I did not have faith in when it was first announced. I thought it was going to be terrible. But I sat down, watched the pilot, being like, all right, well, at least we have Batman, voiced by Diedrich Bader, and just completely surprised me. And the show, those first 2 seasons were great. I am a little bit behind on season 4. I'm still catching up on season 4, but the show really surprised me. It was one where I was just like, I can't believe this actually works.
Yeah.
And season 5 is coming on January 16th on Max.
Very cool.
There's something I've been debating saying, but I think I probably should, because I am currently going through season 4 right now.
Yeah.
And it's just my opinion. I think season 5 should be the final season.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think because I am behind on season 4. I tried to avoid the trailer that they have for season 5. I know that Harley and Ivy go to Metropolis.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the basic premise of the season. But I do think it should be the final season because as I'm watching season 4, kind of like the Adam West Batman show when it got to season 3, it feels like the joke has kind of run its course. Like, what was this great comedy that was still a superhero show? It feels like we've now gone all the way to being a comedy, and it's starting to get kind of dumb. And I really think it's time. It is time to say, you know what? This was a great run, but it has run its course. It's time to shut it down. So that I am hoping that's now. Look, I'm not saying that it's terrible now. There are some terrible moments lately. But the show overall is still enjoyable for what it is. But you just get the feeling of this has now run its course. So I do think that season 5 should be it. I will say, if this is the one thing that continues under James Gunn's, because a lot of the other stuff from DC has shut down. If this is the only thing that continues, I would find that very concerning. But hopefully it's a great season, but I do think it has run its course. And I'll only bring this up quickly. There's season 2 of Peacemaker. I think the show is terrible, but there was a behind the scenes photo of someone on an island. Made me wonder, could that be Oliver Queen, aka Green Arrow? Look, I have no intention of watching. Well, I kind of have to for this show. Now, I have no intention of like regular keeping up with Peacemaker because I think it's awful. But if you're going to introduce Green Arrow, that might be something that I kind of have to pay attention to. So there's no evidence, but it's a guy on an island. And that's the first thing that I thought of was, could that be Oliver Queen?
Yeah, interesting.
So yeah, that pretty much covers my DC section.
Okay.
For TV. Much more Marvel stuff coming up.
Yeah. The season thing did make me kind of think of a rabbit hole, which is kind of like because what do you think is the in general the perfect number of seasons for a show to have? Because I would say it is probably 5 or 6. It feels like a lot of shows start to run their course at that point.
I don't know. I mean, there's some shows that like you take Arrow, for instance, right? Seasons 1 through 3 and 5 were great, and 4 was bad. But overall, if you had ended it with season 5, it would have been great. But like some shows like Seinfeld, it's the later seasons are where it was really strong. So yeah, I almost think it's case by case. I would almost say a showrunner should have 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I think unless you're going to switch the showrunner, then 5 or 6 should probably be it. Because I think, honestly, if I were to look back at the Arrowverse, like it's kind of negative legacy, it was they didn't remove showrunners when they should have.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to switch out who's behind the scenes, then maybe 5 or 6. But in general, I think it's kind of a case by case thing.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the actual real answer, because even though like with shows where it starts out strong immediately and maybe they're really like longer seasons and stuff, then I've noticed a trend of it being either 5 or 6 where it slows down. But then bring back up It's Always Sunny. My favorite seasons, I think, are probably like 6 through 8. So yeah, it's a little later.
Yeah, I think the later seasons of Curb Your Enthusiasm are better than the earlier ones.
Yeah. But yeah, just interesting. Yeah. Anyway, I guess I can speaking of shows that are milking a drained cow, I guess. This next one I was going to bring up, I wrote it down as a thing to bring up, not necessarily looking forward to, but just as like, oh, this is a 2025 thing.
Oh, okay.
And about maybe the most shocked I've been to realize that something had already been out.
Oh, okay.
I'm wondering if you even know. Do you know that this reboot of The Office, the Australia version, is already out?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
But there's no way for us to watch it.
Yeah, because it's only
wait, let me tell you, there's no legal way for us to watch it. Wink, wink.
Yeah, exactly. That must be why there was absolutely no fanfare whatsoever.
Yeah.
Maybe in addition, middling reviews.
I find it a bit surprising they want to put it on Peacock.
Yeah. It really seems obvious. But I don't know. Maybe that's a damning thing for how it turned out, or something, that they don't even want it.
Yeah, I heard it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I felt like
in general, I think the answer why we don't have is it may be a rights issue.
Yeah,
like I don't know if Universal did that Australian version.
Yeah, and basically, even though this is kind of a maybe the only relevance to this podcast is just like maybe this will find its way to American screens in 2025. But the entire season did release, I believe, in October or something of 2024, and it kind of made me think like this entire Office, new Office series thing, now in this new retrospective that I have, and thinking about it more, these past couple days, has made me realize that this was essentially a marketing push to build hype, akin to like going like, it's coming back, it's a reboot, it's The Office again. But I feel like it's really more like just one of the many, many regional reboots, because I don't know, like there's like 13 versions of The Office, apparently.
Oh, yes, there are.
And I feel like this is honestly just like one of those. Like,
I think that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that is exactly what it is. But I think it's kind of interesting that the early marketing and maybe the news cycle around it kind of tried to build it up into something else.
Yeah, I almost feel like the two reasons for that were one is because I'm sure in Australia they've seen the American version. So for Australian audiences, that would be something. And number two, just a guess, I think people may have confused this with the newspaper one.
Oh, okay. There was another different announcement about it.
Yeah, remember the newspaper one that they're doing?
Yeah,
for Peacock.
Yeah, I remember that now. That's probably an aspect, because I'd kind of forgotten about the separation between the two stories a little bit. So yeah, we've brought up the this new other version of The Office a couple times on this podcast, so I thought it would be okay to give it the conclusion of saying like this new analysis of like this is just a regional reboot, and it's kind of went out, as far as I can tell, to almost no fanfare, unless there was more fanfare.
I mean, especially when they dropped every episode on the same day.
Yeah. So that's kind of the air horn out of air ending of that particular news story.
Yes, unless they renew it, which I kind of well, actually, unless they bring it to Peacock.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm still maybe we'll bring it up again if I decide to check it out at some point.
We could do a whole special about it.
Yeah. But until then,
We'll rebrand this show into a watch along of that show.
Yeah, that could be.
We will compete against Pam and Angela.
Yeah, compete against Office ladies.
We will be Office fans.
Which is it just Office fans, period, not even an exclamation point.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah.
We will take the Dwight Schrute analysis of it, of just question. Why was this so poorly paced?
Yeah.
Question, was that the intention of the joke?
Yes, the driest commentary on a series of all time. Well, that basically rounds up my comedy TV section. If you want to go on to your next thing, I'll follow that next thing up with a few back-to-back horror TV things. All right. So
next up, we have our first project from Marvel coming out this month. That's right. It's an animated show. It is Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. That's right. We're getting a brand new Spider-Man show that comes out. Let me check the date. It premieres. Why isn't it saying when it premieres? Oh, January 29th.
Okay.
Very close to the end of the month, but still, it counts.
Yeah.
So, this show, it is pretty different from what it was originally announced as. Originally, it was announced as the origin story of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. But now it's evolved into something else, where it's an Elseworlds version of Spider-Man, where, the opening of Civil War, where Peter comes back home to his apartment and Aunt May is with Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm.
The switch is that when he comes home, instead of Tony Stark being there, it's Norman Osborn.
Okay.
So, we're seeing... essentially, it's basically a brand new iteration of Spider-Man, which is always something to look forward to.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they're doing MCU Spider-Man the way it should have been from the beginning. So, I've had kind of different reactions to this show. I really like how it's not connected to the MCU. Mm-hmm. That is something I think is desperately needed for the Marvel brand.
Mm-hmm.
I really like how we're getting classic villains. Like, we are going to have Dr. Octopus in this show. We're also going to have classic Marvel characters appear, like Iron Man, like Doctor Strange. And they did put out a new trailer for the show.
Okay.
I think a few days ago. And now, one thing I have been concerned about with this show, rightly or wrongly, is that Peter Parker is voiced by Hudson Thames. I believe that's his name.
Okay.
Now, normally, what does that have to do with anything? Rightly or wrongly, Hudson Thames also voiced Peter Parker Spider-Man in What If. So there is a little bit of a connection there. And the fact that What If was so bad has made me a bit concerned about this show. And again, Marvel's animation track record, you had What If, which was overall pretty bad, and you had X-Men 97, which was great. So you don't really know what you're going to get with this show.
Yeah.
And they had the trailer come out, and I will say, well, look, the trailer's not great, and there are some like really cringy moments in there.
Yeah.
But I will say it has potential. Like, there's some like jokes they have in the trailer that don't work. But I'm just watching. I'm just like, there might be something there. I don't expect it to be on the level of the 90s Spider-Man, the animated series, or the Spectacular Spider-Man animated series. But it doesn't need to be. As long as you're just better than that Drake Bell Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, that's all we can ask for.
Yeah.
So I'm not like super hyped. Like, to be honest, of the Marvel projects I'm looking forward to, this is probably the one I'm least excited for, because we don't know what's going on with Marvel animation. Marvel has struggled with Spider-Man more than any other character, which is shocking, but it is what it is. So, and look, the animation style, Sometimes it looks fine. Sometimes it looks pretty bad. I
Yeah.
don't know why they're wasting money on, CGI that looks kind of crappy instead of just doing hand drawn, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, but overall, I think it has potential. I think this could be one of the few Disney Plus Marvel shows where I'm like, you know what? That's pretty good. So that's it. Do you know anything about Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man? I know we've only brought up a little bit, but had you seen the trailer? Have you seen any of the artwork or anything?
I knew only very little. I did just pull up the trailer and kind of skim through it as we were talking about it. I get what they were going for with the animation style. It looks like a comic book, but
it also looks very Hanna-Barbera, like Johnny Quest or Space Ghost. Very Alex Toth like.
Yeah, which I get what they were going for. I don't like it. There's something about it looks too clean. Something's odd about it.
Is it just me or does it look a little cheap?
Yeah, it looks like. Yeah, I mean if there was a more of a like a warmth and texture to it and comic book, the thing is I feel like that's almost what the End of the Spider-Verse stuff succeeded in doing, though, which is making something look comic booky, but it's also CG.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah,
I remember I was so like, not to sound like an old person, like, how dare you mess with something sacred? I was so against Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse being CGI. I was like, no, superheroes need to be hand drawn. Don't you dare! But then it worked.
Yeah, but that's almost an unfair standard, though, because I think that is like perhaps the most brilliant CGI animation that I've ever seen in a movie. like there's no contest. So, but not being able to do that, which is understandable, maybe it should have just been hand drawn,
like
comic
X-Men
book
97
style.
was.
Yes, and maybe there's some half toning or something kind of in there to achieve the same effect. But but that's all I can really say about it. I based on what I'm seeing, I would probably not check it out unless I heard that it was very good.
Although, you're just watching it without sound, right?
I have the sound on very low.
Oh, okay.
But
so I'm hopeful, but you know what? When they did, because during the Thanksgiving Day parade, they did a little trailer for it, like a little 15-second teaser of him web swinging.
Yeah.
I got upset because it was a very bad looking scene.
Yeah.
And when I saw it, I was like, wait a minute. That's not the animation style you promised. You promised us something that looked like Johnny Quest. What is this crap?
Yeah.
But I'll also point this out, okay?
Yeah.
The Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon with Drake Bell is probably the best looking Spider-Man animated series of all time. Visually, if you were to watch it muted, it has the best animation probably ever for a Spider-Man cartoon.
Yeah.
That didn't save that show from being absolutely terrible. So let's just keep that in mind.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah. It's definitely cool what they're doing with it, and the concept of the story sounds cool. So
yeah.
All right. Is that all for your TV shows, or do you have
I have one more show and some others that have to be lumped together because I don't have much to say about them.
Okay.
But there's one more kind of big show.
Okay. Then I can do my lumped together horror TV thing, and then you can finish out TV because that'll be the last chunk that I have. So for my last chunk, this is 4 quick things that are under the horror genre coming to TV. Of course, every year I have to bring up, because it's always one of my most anticipated things, is whatever new project Mike Flanagan is working on, who did The Haunting of Hill House, The Haunting of Bly Manor, Midnight Mass. All 3 of those are 10 out of 10 series to me. He also did the Midnight Club or something, which was fine, but I actually couldn't finish it. I got it. It's fine though.
Now, when you say couldn't, you mean you stopped or it was removed before you were able to?
No. I liked it okay, but I started getting lost because I wasn't feeling engaged enough, and then I decided that like I almost felt a need to rewatch it because I was like, I feel like I didn't engage with this enough, and then I haven't been back to it since. So it wasn't my favorite. Like the other ones grabbed me immediately, so it was just kind of Anyway, this next thing is basically the best combination I could possibly imagine. It is Mike Flanagan adapting a story that is a book that I really like and have read, but also a movie that I think is even better than the book and probably one of the greatest horror movies of all time, Carrie.
Oh,
it's Mike Flanagan's Carrie, which is coming to Prime this year in 2025. Most of the other ones had been Netflix, but this is the first, I think, break from that. So this is Mike Flanagan doing a mini series on Prime of Carrie. And as soon as I heard that it was going to be Carrie, it was like that immediately made sense to me as like the perfect thing for Mike Flanagan specifically to do a mini series of, because Carrie, I think, is very character driven. It's kind of a story where it's really building up to one big, exciting, flashy thing that happens at the end, and the rest of it is just kind of a character story. And I think those character-based stories are what Mike Flanagan shines at. So that makes this one of my most anticipated upcoming TV things. Some others are Stranger Things Season 5, the final season, is coming out this year, which it's about time because those kids are going to be 30 soon.
We've been hearing this final season forever.
Yes. So I hope it turns out like I've loved Stranger Things so far. I do think it's definitely time for it to end, and it's that season 5 thing we were just talking about.
Yeah.
I think that season 5 is the perfect time for it to end. I haven't had any major issues with any of the previous seasons, but I worry we could get there is all. So I hope that none of the holdup of this season has spelled anything negative for it, but I have hopes that this will be a really killer final season. Another thing coming out is, so maybe I would estimate maybe 2019. I wish I remembered off the top of my head that the series Squid Game premiered on Netflix. I loved that show, that season, and at the time I thought like this is a mini series, this is all we're getting, and I didn't think it needed anything else. In fact, I almost felt kind of cynical about the idea that you would continue that story, like kind of sequelizing it not once but twice in seasons 2 and 3 many years later after the success. Feels like it kind of goes against the sort of anti-capitalist message of the first season. But even though because it just came out, I haven't gotten to season 2 yet. It came out just a few days ago, right at the end of 2024. The premise does intrigue me, where initially I thought maybe I wouldn't check out, and because I just liked season 1 on its own, and I didn't think it needed any more. But the premise of season 2 makes me curious enough to check out season 2. Season 3, the final season, is coming out this year, so I'm hoping that
You're already just calling it quits with season 3.
Yeah, and so apparently they came up with a way to continue the story and to wrap it up. So I guess that makes me feel good that the fact that they waited several years to do season 2 and then they're immediately doing season 3 and calling it quits after that, I guess gives me some hope that they are doing this for good reason and they have a plan. Like that they're like, this is the rest of the story is going to take this many episodes. Season 2, season 3, it's over. So yeah, that means 2025. I'm going to have to check out season 2 and then the third season. I would guess towards the end of the year, maybe even December, because this one came out in December. So maybe I actually won't be seeing that final season till the end of the year. But oh yes, and one more horror related TV show, and that's it for my TV list. A series based essentially on the 2017 version of It, directed by Andy Muschietti, is getting a TV series. It is prequel to the first and second It movies, but it's still produced by Andy Muschietti, and Bill Skarsgård returns as Pennywise. It is It, Welcome to Derry. So Derry is a very spooky town with lots of horrible things that happen in it, in the Stephen King lore. So there are lots of terrible and awful and interesting things that could be happening in the town of Derry, both involving it and not. So I think, yeah, a series based around that premise of, and also Pennywise is a creature that returns every 27 years. So there's no shortage of things to cover in before this happened. And I definitely trust this particular version of It. So that's a pretty exciting series that's coming out.
Oh, yes. It's coming back.
Yeah, it's coming back.
Yes. That could be a tagline in the trailer.
Yeah. It's a good idea. All right, well, let's finish out the TV portion.
All right, well, we'll kick this off with what is my most anticipated TV show of the year. Sadly, 2025 will be the first year that since actually the first year in 24 years that we don't have a new DC show on the CW. We closed that book. But fear not, because Marvel is stepping up this year by bringing back one of their most popular shows. And in March, we are getting Daredevil Born Again. That's right, the revival of the old Netflix Daredevil show that people were so upset got canceled. So I kind of have an interesting relationship with the Daredevil show when it came out, because when it first premiered, I did not have Netflix. And then I later got it that summer. And all I had heard about Daredevil was, oh my God, so good. Oh my God, so good. You got to check it out. So I went, popped on episode 1. I was like, all right, guys, let's see what we got. And I was like, it's fine. Popped on episode 2. Yeah, it's fine. I'm not mind blown or anything.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until after Avengers Endgame where we had, Disney Plus came back, brought back the MCU with like WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier and Loki. And here I was sitting here being like, man, Marvel is dead. There's nothing to watch anymore. And then I was like, wait a minute. There is some stuff. There's still some Infinity Saga stuff with like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Daredevil. So now is the time, as I mourn the loss of the MCU, to go back and revisit it.
Yeah.
And I finished season 1, and it's, it's fine. It's good. It's not mind blowing. Then I watched season 2. Season 2 is great. Season 2 was just like, oh my God, that was such a great season of television. I genuinely don't know what happened to make the quality jump up so high.
Yeah.
So like, this is the Daredevil show I wanted.
Yeah.
Where it was him versus Punisher. And I haven't watched season 3. I will be catching up, hopefully before March, but we'll see. So Daredevil for me after season 2 is I think the second best live action Marvel show behind the old Bill Bixby Hulk show. And the thing about Daredevil Born Again is it's finally the first Marvel show about an A-list character that isn't a spin-off. Because, when you look at most of the other Disney Plus shows, it's WandaVision. It's the Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's Loki, spin-off of Thor. Falcon and Winter Soldier, spin-off of Captain America. But kind of like how we had, on the CW, we had Arrow. We had The Flash. Superman, Lois. This time, we're getting Daredevil. So that's really exciting. I would honestly, just like how we had the Arrowverse, I kind of refer to Marvel on Disney Plus as the Daredevil verse. Like, to me, he is the glue of the Marvel television universe. And look, let's be honest here, okay, guys? They're retconning Daredevil into the MCU because that old show, we can pretend. Let's not pretend the Netflix shows were actually canon, because they weren't. They are so night and day different. But Charlie Cox is being brought back into the MCU. That's exciting. And it was a bit concerning about how they had to go back and reshoot the whole show. But I think Marvel knows this is the big one. It's kind of like what Deadpool and Wolverine was for the movies. If Deadpool and Wolverine failed, that was going to be it for the MCU, because X-Men was a thing people were holding on to. They know with Daredevil, that is their most beloved. That is the most beloved Marvel show of this generation. So don't screw it up. And the fact that they went back and they knew it wasn't good, and they went back and redid it, and they didn't just scrap it like Batgirl.
Yeah, that
really shows they know how important this show is. And I'm very much looking forward to Daredevil Born Again. Finally, looking forward to a Marvel show every week, because I missed out Daredevil when it first came out, I'm very much looking forward to Daredevil Born Again.
Very cool. All right.
So I do have a few I could just quickly jump through.
Yeah, sure.
So again, a lot of these, will I watch them? It all depends on Daredevil. Really, that's really what it comes down to. Is Daredevil good?
For sure.
We have Ironheart, which she was introduced in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I don't really care, but why am I bringing up? I have a prediction. Robert Downey Jr. is in the show.
Oh.
He's going to be AI Tony Stark. He's going to be the voice in her Ironheart suit.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yes, I'm calling it now. And when it happens, I'm going to play this clip for everyone to re-listen to.
Yes.
All right, we have another animated show from Marvel, Eyes of Wakanda, which is, obviously focuses on Black Panther. This is a show that, if I remember right, it looks at like different generations of Black Panther, which is kind of what I thought they should have done with Black Panther Wakanda Forever. If they weren't going to recast T'Challa, that they should have just focused on a different generation, just completely set apart, like go back to before T'Challa was born.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that. But we're getting that in Eyes of Wakanda, and I have to believe maybe we'll see one episode with T'Challa's father, as Black Panther, which that would be one I think would be cool to see.
Yeah.
I just tried looking up something about it, and I'm not seeing much. Here's the thing: they don't really give us that much information about. Oh, here's a synopsis. The Hot Zarazi Wakandan warriors carry out dangerous missions around the world to retrieve vibranium artifacts throughout history. So it is looking at different times throughout history, and it will have 4 episodes. So
okay, very cool.
That's interesting. Next up, we have another Marvel show, Marvel Zombies, another animated show. A spin-off of probably the most memorable episode of What If, Marvel Zombies, which had a big comic book run in the 2000s.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, look, really, it's just a chance for us to see like Captain America, Iron Man, Who knows? We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Now, the other live action show we're getting this year is Wonder Man from Marvel, which I only know a little bit about Wonder Man from Avengers United They Stand. So, and they're clearly not doing that story where Wonder Man dies and his brain is put into a robot who becomes Vision. That's clearly not what they're doing because we already have Vision. So, don't know what to expect, but once again, if Daredevil is good, I'll check it out. It all comes back to Daredevil for Marvel TV.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty much all I had for TV.
Okay. Very good. That wraps up the TV portion. Next, next we can move on to video games, and I am, not as much as some people, but definitely a decent bit of a gamer. A little more. So I likely have many more of these than you do, but I do know you have one. But I guess I can rattle off. I'll do it in two chunks. I'll do a first chunk, and then you can say yours, and then I'll do my second chunk. So I have these in a couple of different categories. I'm actually going to just start in the other category because I couldn't categorize these under anything else. But first, just a couple real quick. I'm very excited for Civilization 7, the best civilization building and franchise. I played lots of Civilization 5 back when that came out. Only recently got very into 6, and 7 is Civilization's a great series for the crunchy long building a civilization over a long period of time. And I mean, this is just the best franchise at that type of thing. So very looking forward to Civilization 7. Then we've got Little Nightmares 3. So Little Nightmares is a somewhat newer franchise that is sort of a weird kiddish horror franchise, side-scroller kind of games that are really creative. I loved the first one. The second one has a big twist that makes the third one very interesting, like to see where they're gonna go from here. Because and I won't dare say it, but yeah, the twist at the end of Little Nightmares 2 is something to behold. So 3, I would guess it's ending the franchise with 3, but we'll see. And finally, in the other category, could potentially be my most, like, in the top 2 most anticipated games of 2025, is the next entry in one of my favorite video game franchises of all time, Doom. That's right, the series that practically invented, although not technically, but practically invented the first-person shooter. After sort of rebooting the franchise with Doom 2016, and then again in 2020 with Doom Eternal, which is probably tied with Doom 2 as my favorite in the franchise. We have Doom The Dark Ages coming out in 2025, and this adds a little bit of a medieval flair to the otherwise space sci-fi demon horror kind of franchise. It adds a little bit of a medieval flair to it, which is very exciting. The trailers couldn't possibly get me more excited. I mean, the guy has a chainsaw shield. I mean, you can't make this
That's
stuff
protection
up
right there.
unless that is exactly it. I mean, So I'm looking forward to this team, the Bethesda, this team under the Bethesda umbrella that is making these newer Doom games has something really, really special, and they understand what makes Doom really one of the greatest video game series of all time. And so I really have very little doubt that the Dark Ages will be an amazing third entry into the Doom franchise. Although technically the previous third entry into the Doom franchise, Doom 3, I'm not going to totally bash it as it's popular to do, but it wasn't for me. It's very big departure, Doom 3 was. But I assume this Doom 3 is going to be more in the spirit of the game. And then the next chunk I'm going to get into are actually a few racing games that I'm looking forward to, because
Okay.
I've actually always been a fairly big racing game fan. Back when some of my first video games were stuff like Mario Kart or Cruisin' USA back on the N64. And then with the recent purchase of a PS5 that I made, that I still don't have yet, but it got me researching some new stuff. Of course, the Gran Turismo franchise is the big one on the PlayStation, but I've got kind of 3 categories of racing game I'm looking forward to in 2025. You've got the cartoonish, the Mario Kart type. You've got the realistic, the like racing sim type. And then you've got the sci-fi, the more F-Zero type. So for the more cartoonish, just announced Sonic Racing Cross Worlds.
Oh, wow.
Which looks pretty cool. And this was announced basically the same day I actually watched the Sonic movie for the first time. I watched it a few days ago.
I watched it for the first time too.
Oh, really? How recently?
Like about a week ago. I didn't.
Okay.
I still had 15 minutes left, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I found it fine and fun enough. I actually have hopes the second 2 movies are going to be better. They are higher rated. But it made me really want to play Sonic games again. Is really what my takeaway was. Just like, I want to play Sonic games. And then this was announced. And yes, Sonic Racing is good. I always did find it weird that they drive in cars. Like, they can already go fast.
Yeah. It's very odd.
Yeah.
It's a very odd choice.
Yeah. But then for the realistic, Assetto Corsa Evo, released on PC very soon, PS5 later on in the year, I think. But Assetto Corsa is a like pretty highly regarded racing sim type game, like a more realistic racing game. And so that's a very highly regarded game. This Evo is going to be eventually become like the open world map version of it, which is like my preferred racing game experience. Any racing games that incorporate like an open world element, I love. I loved Need for Speed Underground back in the day. Diddy Kong Racing kind of had that back on N64. So, anything with an open world, I always love. And then finally, I just found out about this game doing the research, but I think the coolest type of racing game is like a sci-fi one, like F-Zero. F-Zero is just an amazing franchise, and I wish that it wasn't neglected for so many years, that we haven't seen an F-Zero game in forever. But that does make me always look towards the more sci-fi racer genre. And there's a one that caught my eye called Fatal Run 2089, which is from Atari, actually, and it's they're calling it an over-the-top driving action across a post-apocalyptic landscape. All I know is that I saw it was kind of sci-fi looking, post-apocalyptic kind of aesthetic, like a Mad Maxy kind of aesthetic, and then it had I saw lasers, I think, so I was sold. So yeah, that's my racing game chunk.
Oh yes.
And then my last chunk is some Nintendo games. But I will save that for after your thing.
All right. So I have one I can bring up. One, because Insomniac is refusing to tell us when Wolverine comes out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that's mostly on them. That's not on me. On them.
Yeah.
So my one game I'll bring up is what will be the biggest video game of the year, which I think we all know what it is. It's Grand Theft Auto 6.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's right. So this one is set in the state of Leonida, which is based on Florida, which we saw in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to follow a criminal duel of Lucia and her male partner. So kind of a Bonnie and Clyde type thing.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see how this one ends. Shootout with the car.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So, hey, a little bit about me. Swampy places, they creep me out.
Yeah.
Putting the game there, very interesting choice, but that makes me excited for it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we don't really know that much, but the trailer, my God, those graphics, it almost looks live action. That's how good it looked. And I'm really looking forward to it. Grand Theft Auto is always one of my favorite games. And this is following up two very important games by Rocksteady or Rockstar. Rocksteady does Batman. Rockstar does Grand Theft Auto. You have Grand Theft Auto 5, which was great. One of my favorite games, but it's also following up the last game that Rockstar did, which is Red Dead Redemption 2, which I'm still going through it, but I think I can say it is officially my favorite video game that's not Batman or Spider-Man. I love it so much. They're just like it's even more than just experiencing a story. Like you're getting a full experience.
Yeah, for sure.
With those type of games. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think the Bonnie and Clyde type angle sounds really cool, and we'll see if alligators will pop out and scare you, like the biggest jump scares you can get. Which,
they would.
In Red Dead Redemption 2, the biggest jump scares you can get, and this happens a lot, are alligators and bears. Yeah. Do you know what it's like to walk through the woods and hear a roar and turn around and see a bear charging at you? Yeah. Terrifying. Even though it's all on the TV, but still you're like, oh my God, my guy's gonna die. Yeah.
Yeah, that is terrifying. Stay away from the swamps.
Yes. I mean, that's pretty much all I had about it. Have you played any of the recent Grand Theft Auto games since the PS3 days?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up because it is obviously gonna be the biggest game release of the year, and I would have neglected to bring it up because I've actually never played a Grand Theft Auto game.
Never.
Yeah, no. Even though I do think it could be something that I would enjoy. It's got that open world aspect and stuff, so I think it could be something I would enjoy. But yeah, I just never did. But yeah, this new one, I'll have a PS5 now and stuff. Maybe I'll want to just like experience the best in graphics and the big open world. I like the Bonnie and Clyde angle a lot too.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
You know, when I got Grand Theft Auto 5 for PS3, God, like 2015, oh my God. Well, once we get to Christmas, it will be 10 years ago.
Yeah.
When I loaded it on my PS3, it legit took like 4 hours to load for the first time.
Oh, like did it need to download or something? Yeah.
So I was just sitting there all Christmas Eve thinking, when can I finally play this thing? And just waiting and waiting. And it finally happened. But boy, did it take forever.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, that is definitely, we were no longer going to be able to do some blank happened before GTA 6 jokes because it will be out.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't worry, we can soon do GTA 7.
yes, we can start doing that.
Who knows how long that will take?
My next thing, which like I said, I'm entering the Nintendo chunk, but just a couple things to bring up here. I said Doom: The Dark Ages was in the top 2 of my most excited. This is the other one. But I may put this at number 1. And that is also another game that has been in the works. Well, I won't say in the works. They weren't working on it the entire time, I have to assume, but probably for over 10 years, fans of this particular franchise have been waiting. That's the Metroid Prime series. Not the Metroid series in general. We got Metroid Dread a couple of years ago, but Metroid Prime. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is finally supposedly going to come out this year after a couple of pushbacks and them wanting to work on it to get it right. And yeah, this is definitely one of the more highly anticipated Nintendo games for this too neglected franchise. And the Metroid Prime series, the thing that differentiates it from the mainline Metroid series is the mainline Metroid series that started with Metroid in the 1980s on the NES is a side-scrolling platforming action series. Metroid Prime, which came out on the GameCube in the early 2000s-ish, took this franchise into first person. So it's a first-person adventure action kind of a game. I tend to like the platforming style more. So I'd say I'm more of a mainline series Metroid fan than a Prime fan. But I have played Metroid Prime, and I do love it very much. Metroid is also one of my favorite franchises of all time. So Metroid Prime 4, even a trailer even exists, so we know that they're working on something. It should hopefully be coming out before the end of 2025, and finally, because like GTA 6, this has been a long time in the works.
Yeah.
Metroid Prime 3 was 2007. So that's how long. And then the next Nintendo game I'm looking forward to is Pokemon Legends ZA or Z to A. I don't really know that much about this, but I do know that this is the next entry. A few years ago, they came out with the game Pokemon Legends Arceus, and it was like a new style. It was basically like, I keep bringing up how much I like open world games. It was a more like open world, different style of Pokemon game that kind of diverted from, the mainline series. And where the mainline series is had some more missteps, I found Pokemon Legends Arceus to be one of my favorite Pokemon branded games of all time. So I like the gameplay style of this Pokemon Legends series more than I like the modern day mainline series. So that's why Pokemon Legends ZA is something I'm actually looking forward to more than like a mainline Pokemon game whenever we see that next. And the final thing I want to bring up from Nintendo and from my video games list is not a game at all, but
okay.
For years, people have been, and maybe this is going to be one of the egg on my face things for even bringing this up, but for years, people have been anticipating the next Nintendo console, the Nintendo Switch follow-up. People have been calling it Nintendo Switch 2, which is not going to be the actual name.
Nintendo Switch?
2017, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, Nintendo Switch, I guess, is technically considered in the same generation of consoles as like the PS4 and the Xbox One, even though it did come out after those. It kind of came out in this weird, awkward in-between phase between PS4 and PS5 and between Xbox One and Xbox Series X. And so technically, on paper, the only 9th generation consoles are the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. So we've kind of been waiting for the Nintendo's follow-up to the Switch to kind of finally have them enter the 9th generation of consoles, which it's Nintendo. We're probably not going to be looking at like graphically and like tech-wise the absolute top of the crop, but they're more about they're about games and gimmicks, I would say. And I use gimmick endearingly, but sometimes it's gimmicks. But mostly it's quality games and quality franchises. But yeah, we are looking for the Nintendo Switch is becoming an extraordinarily dated console. So to have something even a little bit updated would be really exciting. I don't know how similar it's going to be to the Switch. I'm guessing it would probably be more like an updated Switch with updated tech more than it would be like a totally new thing. Like we saw from the Wii U to the Switch, that was a very big change. We're probably going to get something closer to like a Nintendo Switch 2. There's been rumors for a long time. People keep expecting it to be announced at different events and stuff, and it never is. But there's been leaks, and there's been a lot of leaks and discussion that makes it seem like it's inevitable that we'll probably see it in 2025. I would say it's fairly likely we'll see it in 2025, if not 2026. But that's me being pessimistic because people have been expecting this thing to be announced for a while.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, I'm very, very excited about that. And it'd be a chance for Nintendo to be able to more directly compete with the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. So that would be cool when that happens. So that is it for my video games segment. And looking at the time, I think after your comics segment, we might actually have to put movies into its own episode. So,
okay,
which that's fine. We can just make people, beg for more.
Yes,
they have to wait.
We can give the most frustrating ending to this first episode, 2025. Not our normal catchphrase, but to be continued.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Now, before I jump into my comic thing, it did make me what you brought up. Did make me want to ask you something.
Yeah.
Talking about the new Nintendo thing, the new console.
Mm-hmm.
Are you excited for the idea of a new console, or do you dread it? Because I won't lie, as someone who just bought a PS5, I dread the day they announce PS6.
Yeah. As someone who just bought a PS5 like 2 days ago, I'm very much dreading if that happens. I doubt it would happen like this year or anything, but I guess there are a couple things. One, luckily systems are usually pretty good about backwards compatibility. If this Switch is more like a Switch 2 and not a total change, I would hope that it has full backwards compatibility and that all my games will work on it. That's my expectation. That's probably what should happen. It would probably need to be a lot longer time to go by to expect anyone to. But yeah, even on PlayStation, like PS4 and maybe some PS3 games work on PS5. I can't remember. Definitely PS4 though.
Yeah, I bought a bunch of PS4 games for the PS5.
Yeah, because there aren't really that many PS5 games yet. So PS4 is a big part of the catalog. So with the new Switch coming out, if it were not, and I honestly highly doubt this, but if all my games weren't compatible, I would be kind of upset. Like but it wouldn't be the end of the world because again, these console generations last longer than they used to. Consoles used to come out way faster. Like the time between the GameCube and the Wii is way, way shorter than, well, actually that would have been about no, it would have been about 5 years.
Oh, okay.
So we're at 6 years. So it isn't that big of a difference, but it is, we are looking at, and that would have been a total. You can play GameCube games on the Wii though, so again, it's a similar situation. I think when the Switch came out in 2017, now it's 2025. Oh, I did math wrong. That's 8 years.
Oh.
So it's been 8 years. So it's been almost a decade.
Yeah. A decade I can handle.
Yeah, so that's why I feel like I can't really get that upset about it. More than anything, I think I actually got the Switch in 2018. I've had it for a long time. I'm more excited than I am dreading it. Like I would be looking forward to, especially like any innovations, and a new console often means like that they've been working on, like maybe a new 3D Mario game, or maybe another new Zelda game, or that means that there are great things on the horizon. So I would be more looking forward to it than I am anything else.
Oh yes. So yeah, I was thinking recently, because one video game I recently got was Injustice 2.
Yeah.
For PS4. I'm able to do it on my PS5. I was thinking, that completes it, because some people may ask, why did you not get PS4? Some people may ask, why did you wait so long to upgrade to the next console? And I say, because in the span of about a year and a half, I got all 5 of the PS4 games I wanted.
Yeah.
Because I swear, it felt like for the longest time, there was Arkham Knight and nothing. And it wasn't until the very end they started doing some cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely depends on what you're into as well, because PS4 was always a pretty good console to me. I got a lot of it. Well, I actually used it so much that it no longer worked, and so I haven't had a PS4.
Wow.
I haven't had a PS4 in a couple of years. So getting this PS5 that I'm supposedly going to get tomorrow will actually be, now I can play all my old PS4 games again.
Oh yeah.
Which is one of the reasons it was a no-brainer to get that instead of the Xbox.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely depends on what you're into, because even now with the PS5, there aren't really that many proper PS5 only games that I care about. And it's been out, even the PS5 has been out a few years now.
Yeah.
So yeah, like skipping a generation isn't a bad idea, because like now you can just play all the PS4 games you care about now.
Yeah. I mean, like literally this year, hopefully we'll have 2 PS5 games, hopefully with Wolverine, which is more than what we had for a long time, it felt like. By the way, I really wish, because I don't know how you find out about video games, because I have no way to learn about what is the best upcoming video game, because they never advertise them in comics anymore.
Yeah,
that used to be how I found out. Now it's just cruising Wikipedia and seeing what there is.
Yeah. I mean, I don't typically use this that much anymore, but I feel like Metacritic is kind of where video games are often rated. So sometimes it could just be like the highest rated games. I think I do get advertised video games a fair amount, so that's just algorithm based. And then like when it comes to or just like browsing the PlayStation Store or the Nintendo Store, like online, the digital shop, or on Steam or something, is usually pretty good about recommending games.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh yeah, and also I tend to watch like game event stuff, so which will have announcements. So like the Game Awards or like Nintendo Direct will happen a couple times a year, which will just be like, here's all the stuff that's coming out. So a lot of times it's watching those.
Oh yes, you were speaking about like getting a PS5 over Xbox One was the smart move to get all your PS4 games to work again.
Yeah.
For me, it was, besides the fact that I've only had PlayStation, it was just like, wait, Spider-Man, Wolverine are just going to be PlayStation? Sorry, Xbox.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for me it is Spider-Man and like the Final Fantasy series. Like those are like make PlayStation a no-brainer as well.
Yeah.
But yes, that ends video games for today. Let's end out this first upcoming episode with some comics.
Oh, yes. This is one I'm really excited for. I don't know if you had any like comics or anything you knew about that was coming out this year or not.
I don't think so. I could try and look something up real quick while you're doing that, but yeah, not off the top of my head, no.
All right. So this year is going to be year 2 of Marvel's Ultimate Universe. That's right. And oh boy, do they got some good stuff planned. In Ultimate Spider-Man, they are giving us a Kraven storyline. That's right. Where Kraven is going to go on the hunt for Spider-Man and the Green Goblin. That's right. So in Ultimate Spider-Man, in the storyline, the Maker rewrote the history of the world, and he's really been the bad guy behind the scenes, and he has a bunch of people working for him, and one of the people who works for him is the Kingpin, who watches over New York. He is the one who really controls all of New York, and now he knows that Spider-Man and the Green Goblin exist and how they're working together to try to stop crime in the city. So we've had in a few issues where Kingpin is looking for people. He's assembling kind of his version of the Sinister Six. And we're getting a storyline with Kraven is going to hunt them. And that to me is very exciting. Kraven is one of my favorite villains. It would be nice to see him actually in a Spider-Man movie one day and not a critically panned movie that everybody hates. So that's real exciting. Ultimate Spider-Man for me is easily my favorite of the Ultimate line. So I'm looking forward to that. In the Ultimates, we actually had the first issues of 2025 come out yesterday. And the latest issue of the Ultimates introduced this universe's versions of the Guardians of the Galaxy. And later this year, they're going to introduce Luke Cage. So hopefully, I'm hoping that he'll be a member of the Ultimates because I really liked Luke Cage in that Netflix show they did. And in the Defenders when he teamed up with Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist. But there is one comic book that the hype is so high for this year, more than any other one. And we got a little tease of it at the end of 2024. But now the whole series is coming out. Well, the first issue is coming out later this month. It is Ultimate Wolverine. Oh my God. I am so hyped for this book. It has felt like as we watch the Ultimate Universe grow and launch with Spider-Man, Black Panther, and the Ultimates, what was the one thing that felt missing? Wolverine. And now we're finally getting it. And this version of Wolverine is basically the Ultimate Universe's Winter Soldier. That's right. So what we found out in it was Ultimate Universe year end was that the Maker found that in this universe there was a Logan who died. And the Maker took his body and made clones of him and like brainwashed him. And he basically is an assassin for the Maker. So very much like the Winter Soldier in the MCU and in the traditional Marvel Comics universe. And later, I think it's issue 3 of Ultimate Wolverine, we're going to be introduced to the ultimate versions of Kitty Pryde and Gambit. That's right. He's going to make a name for himself once again. And I'm looking forward to that. I mean, look, we do have an Ultimate X-Men book, but it's not really X-Men. I don't know why they called it X-Men, but we're getting more X-Men characters in the Ultimate Universe. I am so excited for that. This is easily my most anticipated comic book of 2025. I can't wait for it.
Yes. Yeah, this is just, I guess 2025 will continue the streak of good comic goings on from 2024.
Yes. So, also, I do have for DC, we had the Ultimate Universe, now we have the Absolute DC Universe, and that is we have the Absolute Flash, which will come out in March, and that version is going to follow the Wally West version of the Flash. And we're also going to get Absolute Green Lantern, which follows Joe Mullion, Hal Jordan, John Stewart, and Guy Gardner. So basically, if you got a favorite version of Green Lantern, chances are they're in here. I would assume Kilowog will also be in there.
Yeah.
And one that I'm also looking forward to, that I'm a bit surprised is one of their first Absolute books, is Absolute Martian Manhunter. And that will follow FBI agent John Jones, whose body is taken over by an alien consciousness. And if Martian Manhunter getting his own book wasn't exciting enough, this book is going to be written by Denise Camp, who's also the writer of the Ultimates for Marvel. That's right. He's juggling both universes.
Oh, yeah.
So that's real exciting. And also, we got two more things this year. This one's actually both a comic book and a book about one of the best versions of a character of all time. And let me open this real quick. That's right. We are getting two new stories about this guy right here, Michael Keaton's Batman. Okay. That's right. We're getting Batman Echoes issue 6, comic book storyline that's been taking forever to come out. Like, I believe the first issue came out in 2023, and the final issue is coming out sometime this year. But it's written by Sam Hamm, who wrote the screenplay for the 1989 film and worked on the story for Batman Returns. Now, I don't know if I've talked about it at all, but Batman 89 Echoes, that is basically Sam Hamm doing his version of what would have been Batman 5 after Batman and Robin.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically, we're getting that storyline of Bruce Wayne going up, this version, Bruce Wayne going up against the Scarecrow. And they even did the one thing that we always knew was going to happen in the movie, which was Scarecrow uses his fear gas, and that's how this version of Batman sees the Joker again. So,
interesting.
I've always been curious about, what was going to happen with Batman 5, and now we were getting a taste of it. So that's real exciting. And also, we're getting another book, a sequel to Batman Resurrection, which is Batman Revolution, which last year, we had Batman Resurrection, which took place between Batman 1989 and Batman Returns. And this one will also take place before Batman Returns. So it's 2025, and we still got some more Michael Keaton Batman, which what a great thing to have happen. I love how, like, for the past 10 years, it feels like we've all just accepted Michael Keaton as the best live action Batman of all time. So let's get as much of him as we can. And while in a movie, we can't really go back to, like, we can't really shoot a movie about between Batman Returns, because too much time has passed. But this is the next best thing, and we're getting two new stories about Michael Keaton's Batman. Oh, what a great time to be a fan.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I've got. for comics. We got Ultimate Universe, Absolute Universe, and the Burtonverse.
Yes, that's an exciting year. And I mean, what a way to end this portion of the upcoming episodes, because we still haven't even covered all of the movies that we're looking forward to.
That's right.
Yeah, I guess that means to be continued.
To be continued.
And continue falling down that rabbit hole, of course.
Of course.